So thank you, Jim, for joining me today. Jim's been kind enough to share his experiences with the work, and him doing the work with me must have been around 7 or 8 years ago, if not more. But hi, Jim.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today.
It's absolutely no problem. Pleasure and a privilege.
And so I want you to let people know briefly about what your experience was with doing the work with me all those many years ago now.
Well, one of the things I realised was that, I can squirm when things are very real.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I'm impressed with the work about now is that it's very real and it's very quick, and it gets you to very real very quick.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But the one that I really do remember is the third session that we did, which was the massive anger and resentment that I had against my ex-wife.
Okay.
Because I'd just been through a horrendous divorce thing.
And what was that like?
Amazing for me at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was, as I've said, I was going through a kind of messy divorce, very messy, and I was absolutely raging with anger and resentment, and it was quite a lengthy session, as I remember, and we got to the depth of it very quickly again, as I've been saying, and then you somehow structured me to stay with it. For instance, I could go, well, yes, that well, no, that's not necessarily true, but and I think I remember you kept saying, lose the but, or yes, but maybe, and I'd wander off on something else, and you'd bring me back into it,
Yeah. Because you wanted to because you're into philosophy and you like to philosophize.
Yeah, and wander.
Yes.
And I was squirming a bit because, getting to something that emotional that quickly is quite difficult,
Yeah.
It's quite difficult, I think, with something that's quite current and quite emotional.
Yeah.
To be not trapped, but guided into it and kept into it.
So there was no way.
Which I thought was amazing the way you did that.
So there was
way. It sounds, trap sounds ridiculous. It's not that. Well, you were very clever.
Okay.
You were very clever.
Yeah.
To be honest, the way that you kept me in it and kept me with it until at the end, I'd kind of turned round my anger and resentment, and it had kind of turned into relief. It was, I find, doing the work with you, it's almost like, throwing a burden away, it's a really big relief.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about once we turned that round, and a few months after the session, and this is what amazed me, was that during a conversation, just a general conversation, somebody just asked me how Angela was. Out of the blue, and I said, Angela who?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Right, Angela's the name of my ex-wife, so it had gone,
So to have gone from feeling all that anger and resentment, and you would bring her up in conversation because it was so current, because you were still filled with anger and resentment, and then it was just the one session that we did together, wasn't it? And then
Yeah.
literally a few months later, someone mentions her name and asks how she is, and you're like, who? Because it was so from your mind, so far from your consciousness, you were just, it wasn't just a non-issue for you.
It had gone, yeah.
That's incredible.
It had absolutely gone, you know.
Wow.
I mean, you know, it doesn't completely go, but I mean, that's just an example of, you know, it's not on my mind, is it?
Mm-hmm. So when you say it doesn't completely go...
If I'm going Angela Who, it's not on my mind, is it?
So when you say it doesn't completely go, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's still a fact. You know, I had a bad divorce.
Okay.
But it's a kind of, so what? It's gone.
Right, so the difference is how you feel about it. That's the key.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're not carrying it around.
Exactly.
Yes.
I can't be, can I? I've forgotten my wife's
Yeah, I know, which is quite astonishing. And there's just one thing, Jim, that people are often surprised by, is that having done the work, certainly with me, and you reflect back on those emotional issues, is that there can actually be a lot of humour, even during the session. There can actually be a lot of humour there, and which might sound a bit crazy and a bit strange for those who haven't experienced it, but what could you say about that?
And for me, humour is so important. You know, allowed me to kind of see sometimes the absurdity of it. The absurdity of situations. You know, which sometimes you can't see yourself, can you?
Yeah. Yeah, when you see for yourself that you can get so caught up and wrapped up in a story that was so intensely serious, and then when you see it yourself, you can then see the humour and the funny side of things. Yeah.
Because the ability to catch yourself in the ridiculous,
I like that. Catch yourself in the ridiculous. I like that.
The ability to catch yourself in the ridiculous, I think, is a massive gift. You know.
Yeah.
You know, because you get to realise, you know, that some of the denials, some of the excuses, some of the, you know, I want to run away from this, but in the therapy sessions you wouldn't let me. You know, you see, there's your life again. Brilliant. You know, but looking back on it, I can think, well, how ridiculous. You know, why did I curve off into talking about, I don't know, something else? You know, you're not there for that. You know, it's a useful tool, and you have it in abundance. Good humour. Good humour. You know, we're not talking about lapping at people's problems here.
No, not at all.
We're talking about, sometimes things are ridiculous.
Yeah, and therefore you can see the humour in it, and be able to laugh at yourself in a kind way. It's like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And,
I think that's a gift, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they say that, you know, hindsight is very 20/20, but when you can look back on some of the stuff that you've been through and laugh at it, you know, that's a gift. You know,
so
it's an absolute
healing,
gift.
isn't it? So healing.
And
it just shows really on a really core, deep level that you're just unaffected by it.
Yeah, and it's also part of what we were talking about before. You know, that you know, the relationship between, you know, the facilitator and the facilitated.
Yes.
You know, it breaks ice. It eases the situation sometimes, you know, and then again, in hindsight, you see all the ridiculous kind of excuses and the little you kind of squirm out of that. You know?
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's good to laugh at yourself. What a gift that is, you know. Pete's sake, you know, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're lost, I think.
Yeah, because we do and can, and I still do at times take myself so seriously, very seriously.
Well,
and it's nice to be able to laugh about it.
Yeah, well, life is serious, you know. Until today, you know, when you can laugh at yesterday, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then to me, that's, you know, what you've taught me about the work, that's what the work is all about. Yesterday, it's gone, you know, it's history, and sometimes it's hilarious. You know, even the biggest trauma can be, you know, can be funny, you know. You know, I mean, just recently I've gone through kind of cancer. You know, I've had 5 operations in 7 years or whatever it is. You know, and I think doing the work with you on stuff has taught me, because during that, all I could see during all those operations I was going through is serious stuff. Cancer, you know, it's not a joke. But I mean, you know, some of the stuff is absolutely hilarious. You know. You know, and that's a gift. And you've given me that.
Wow, thank you.
It's your fault.
I didn't know, but thank you. So that's something new for me.
Yeah.
So was that a turning point for you?
I'd already, you know, I think you'd already convinced me, because by then I think we'd done I think that was our 3rd or 4th, maybe, I can't remember. But you know, I was, and I think this is because you're so good at it, I have to say that. I was convinced. I was convinced that this was something very special, you know. So
given your background, you're a qualified psychotherapist, and you've been a qualified psychotherapist for how many years?
I qualified in 2000.
In 2000, that's 15 years to this date anyway.
Yeah.
And so, given your experience of that, given that you've also received psychotherapy, and then you were qualified then when we first met, when you did the work sessions with me, how, if you know, briefly, how would you say they compare? What would you say the 3 main key differences from your experience?
How would they compare?
Yeah.
Working with you and doing the work has taught me, you know, such a great deal about the now, you know. It's the age-old thing about being in the now.
Yes.
You know, being in the now of something rather than, you know, rather than stuff going on and on and on. It made me realise, for example, in my own private practice, although I've done, you know, I'm qualified at other therapies, reality therapy, cognitive behavioural therapy, I've done grief therapy, etc., you know. What it brought home to me was there's an awful lot of talking and listening goes on, and not a lot happening. So I think that doing the work with you brought it home to me that, you know, something really happens with this.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
It's very difficult to put into words if you haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
But something really, you know, I spoke earlier about, you know, it gets you to an emotional place very quickly. You know, you know, I think the relationship between the counsellor and the counselled is very important, and that was fine. That's always important. But the kind of gentle guidance was what I was amazed by.
Because we mentioned earlier that sometimes when you get to what I call the sticky stuff, the emotional stuff, the things that we like to leave at the bottom drawer, we don't want people to see, and when that comes to the surface quite evidently, and we want to avoid it. we don't want to go there oftentimes. And so, you know, I see my role as kind of keeping you are on track and focused and dealing with that particular issue in that moment at that time.
And, you know, also, it keeps you with the subject somehow.
Yeah.
It keeps you focused. Focused is the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps you absolutely focused on it. You know.
So yeah, it keeps you focused on it, and even though that obviously can feel uncomfortable, it's like you really are dealing with it without running away.
Yeah. Because you need to give yourself to it, obviously, or else, you know, I think, you know, and that's the, you know, relationship between the facilitator and yourself. Trust. It's trust, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
So tell me a little bit more about, you know, what made you feel as if you could trust me within that context.
Well, you know, we were talking about a personal thing.
Yeah.
We were talking about, you know, one of my character defects is which is anger, rage. It's not a very pleasant emotion.
Yeah.
You know. But like I said, I felt that the instant, the depth of the relationship was very, very quick. If you understand what I mean.
With the idea of trust, you were willing to go to that place with me on that particular subject.
Yes, and from that, from that session, we had another session.
Yeah.
Which has been even more important to me.
Wow, so yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
We did a very long session on my child abuse. I was abused when I was a child. Now, also, I'm a recovering addict, so I'm on a kind of 12-step program. I didn't, you know, thought about it, been through it with people, and I'd been to therapy for it, but it was you who personally pointed it out to me that although I said that I'd dealt with it, when it came up in conversations or it came up on in a film or a TV or whenever it came up, I'd be straight into mine. You know, there'd be kind of tears and sometimes, and you know, I'd be straight into relating that story, my child abuse story, again and again and again. So I kind of realised that I hadn't dealt with it. Really, and because of the experience that I'd had with the work and you, we did a long session on it.
Okay.
You know, it was very, very raw and very, very painful.
Right.
But at the same time, completely liberating, you know. And you know, I must say, for the subject matter and the length, you know, because it was quite a long session, I seem to remember. You know, I felt kind of held by you all the way through it. You know. I think we were talking about trust before, you know, but I just felt that was the right time, and you know, that was the right time to do it, and so we did it, you know. And painful though it was, and I think we've talked earlier about you gently keeping me in the subject, and I think there's something very real and honest about the way you do the work, or the way the work is, but the way you do it, or my experience of doing it with you, is that it's very honest and upfront. No matter how difficult the subject is.
Yeah.
For example, I realised afterwards, and this is literally just afterwards, that it was the first time I'd actually described in detail what actually happened with me.
Wow.
I'd never done that before.
Wow, even with all the other therapies that you've had?
Yeah, all the other therapies and the 12-step program, and talking to people about it. I just said, I was sent away to school, this happened, I was abused. I'd never got to the depth of it, where I could just open up and graphically describe, and working with you. This is what I meant about you keeping me there. You gently eased me into that, and with just I remember you saying, just explain to me one example, because it went on for years, but just explain one example, or the first time, I can't remember, but that's the way that came about, and it all came out.
And what was that like for you for the first time?
It was just incredibly painful. I can remember. I don't know whether you remember, but I was in bits.
Crying,
crying, and it was just very, very, very painful for me. But like I said, after we'd done it, there was this incredible sense of relief, again, that I'd just got rid of it, and I found that that's the case.
And when you say got rid of it, could you explain that a little bit more clearly by what you mean, got rid of it?
Well, again, this is a little hard to describe, but it's similar to not remembering my wife's name. It's not on my mind anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, it happened. It's never going to go away completely, but I'm not concerned with it. It's not with me all the time. It's gone. It's gone. I've got rid of that story. I can use it to help other people, but somehow it hasn't got the power. It hasn't got any power over me.
Yeah, I think that's so key. I'm so pleased you said that, because it's like before, it was having control over you and affecting you and your life 20, 30, 40 years on. And by the exploration and that journey that we went on, it was finally you could find your inner peace within all of that. For you, for your own sake.
Yes, exactly. And I think right here and right now, I'm talking about it again.
Yes,
but I'm talking about it again, and people will hear this, almost glibly, if you like. I'm just talking about it. I might sound very matter of fact about it, but the reason why I sound matter of fact about it now is the session that I did with you.
Yeah.
because it takes the power out of it and it makes it matter of fact. If you see what I mean there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one session about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're a qualified psychotherapist, and you've had the whole therapy about that. You're in a STEP program, and you actually counselled other people within that particular area as well. That was a part of your job specifically. And
yeah.
And this, whilst everything plays its part for you, with me, in that moment, that time, doing the work together, it was what you needed for you to move on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And again, I got the kind of the image I have of it is, kind of like carrying it around in a sack, and whenever, and then bringing it out and bringing out all the emotion around it, and it using me, it's a little bit like drugs, really. Yeah. It using me, whereas after my session with you and turning that around and getting rid of it, I can now use it. If you understand what I mean, because I can use it to help other people still.
Yeah. And you're a testament that's saying that there is a way out. There is emotional healing from this.
Absolutely.
For something that is, traumatic and painful.
Yeah.
That there is a way out.
Yes.
Of the suffering and the pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's what has completely swung me over to the work is, together with your expertise in it, is just that, that you lose things that are traumatic, you get rid of them.
Yeah.
You get rid of them rather than how do I describe it? It's like the symptoms and the disease, isn't it? It's like putting a plaster on something, rather than healing it completely. Yes. Do you understand?
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
It heals you completely from it rather than just putting a sticking plaster on it. Yeah.
And so things changed. I think I do actually remember you saying a story when I think it was your therapist who actually commented to you saying that you don't talk about it anymore.
Yes. And in the fellowship that I'm in, we have people called sponsors, right, who take us through the 12-step program, right, and he mentioned that as well. I've always had a personal therapist because to be part of the BACP organisation, you have to have a certain amount of hours of personal, who heals the healer, that And my own personal counsellor has said that you don't mention that anymore, and also my sponsor had said that.
Wow.
Which is why I've said it's very similar to Angela Who. I haven't heard myself say, what abuse, but it's similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's profound. It's significant.
Wonderful. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
And if I were to ask you this, then, because you and I haven't spoken about, this particular issue for years, obviously. So, how do you view the people who did what you say they did to you? When you, at the time, clearly you were angry and very upset, understandably so, and now as you reflect on it? What's your opinion about them?
For me, they're not important to me. They're not important to me. You know, they don't have any power over me. It doesn't have any power over me, and therefore they don't.
Yeah.
Do you see how that is?
That's, yeah.
You know,
it's like you get your life back.
Absolutely. You know, because you know, holding on to that sack of that stuff, it's hurting me. You know.
Yeah.
It's not hurting them.
Yeah.
It's not hurting the perpetrators of anything.
And that's so key. It's that how it's affecting you and your life, and that emotional, like the emotional baggage that you've mentioned before, that you were carrying around. And that having so much control and power over you, it's completely flipped on its head, and it's, you find your own inner peace, so it doesn't have power. You feel much more the captain of your own ship, so to speak, and they are no longer a part of your life. You know, you have your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that to me is extraordinary. Again, really
wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will always be very, very grateful to you for it.
Thank you, and you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. And so, what would you like to say, you know, for those who haven't experienced the work that I do, what would you say? And, you know, I expect you to be perfectly frank and honest and upfront and open. Is what would you say to those who haven't experienced the type of work that I do specifically? What would you like other people to know about my particular style, my approach to things, and why you felt it was effective?
No, you are an experienced person. You know, in life, not only in the work, but in life.
Yeah.
I found that there was no judgment. There was no the empathy that you had for me was wonderful. You know, and I mean, if you're in an atmosphere of non-judgment and sincere empathy, which I found when we were doing that, I can't recommend it enough, because not only are those two spiritual principles present, but the end result is amazing, as we've just seen. You know, and I mean, I can only speak about my experience of it, and my only experience of it is with you. But compared to all the other therapy that I've had, it's absolutely mind-blowingly wonderful. You know, it and you definitely showed me that there was really, really something amazing here with this. You know, it works. You know, I can't say any more than that, I don't think.
So for anyone out there who does have some emotional issues that they perhaps don't feel as if they've been able to resolve, or maybe they haven't even looked at yet, what would you say to them about coming to see me to experience, you know, the skills that I have to offer?
I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And, you know, this is coming from somebody who has not only studied psychotherapy, been a psychotherapist, had therapy, had all kinds of, self-help, if you like, but coming to you is the one thing that's really worked with big emotional trauma. Really worked. I think that's what I can say. You've helped me. So, and if that can be used to help other people, I can't see why not. I just cannot see why not. Because what my sessions with you taught me about the work is that, yes, we are discussing, deep sadness, deep trauma that's been alleviated, and I mean, how wonderful is that? For me, it was just such a wonderful experience. And, for me, if I've had a wonderful experience with something through somebody, I want to pass it on to other people.
Yeah.
I want to pass it on to other people because I sincerely believe in my heart that that's the way things work. For me, for you, and for other people.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that, really. Yeah. It's to do with honesty, I think. It's to do with being honest and upfront and, which is hopefully what I was with it. But the way that you keep me honest and upfront is, firm but fair, a gentle vice. You keep me concentrated on it. Which I found wonderful, and also very useful, because I tend to wander off.
Yeah. So for those who may feel anxiety or fear around talking about deep, very personal issues, and having to go back into something that was painful, what would you say to them about that? What would you like to say?
Well, I'd like to say that no matter how deep and emotionally upsetting the trauma is that you're dealing with, again, the feelings of empathy I got from working with you, the non-judgmental, but also, a firmness and an honesty, and for anybody who's wanting to do something about, emotional trauma, stress, anxiety about something, it's a wonderful way to do it. In my experience, it's a wonderful way to do it, and wonderfully facilitated.
Yeah. Because I've heard lots of people's anxieties can be that they don't want to get back into that feeling again, or to reconnect with that a traumatic experience again, and they fear that they're going to be really emotional and then they're going to carry on those high emotions throughout the rest of their life, or they won't be able to function at work or something. There's these fears that gets in the way of them actually looking at it and dealing with it. And from your experience, was any of that true for you?
Yes, I can say there was a certain amount of fear around it, because it's a horrible thing to take a good look at. But the atmosphere and the conducive therapeutic relationship that you built with me enabled me to do that. And it was very painful. And to be able to face your fear and then have the actual trauma, that your actual story, taken away. I can't see how people would fear that. I can see, fear and nervousness, going into something that's traumatic. But if you really work at it with a facilitator like yourself, then it will go. And I can't see anything better than that. And then you'll be able to go back to work with it gone. Yes. You'll be able to talk to your friends with it gone. And I've found that, the way that I'm with other people with that gone, it's different. The way that, while I was working, I'm not working now, but that was different when that was gone. All that fear and trepidation, because it's still kind of niggling away. But now it's not. Now it's not. It's gone. Just gone.
Did it affect your self-esteem in any way?
Yes, I think so, yes. Because, there's a kind of underlying, fear that you're something else, not good enough,
They're not good enough. That's a... Yeah,
that you're less than, I can't possibly bring this out, because it's so huge, it's so huge, and again that's down to fear, isn't it? I think that's down to fear. But when you actually face that, and like I said in that session where we dealt with my child abuse trauma, what I realised immediately afterwards was that was the first time that I'd actually graphically explained what happened to me. And I will be forever in your debt for you listening to me do that, giving me the space and the time and the empathy and non-judgmental situation within which I could do that. I will always be grateful to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you really for being willing to do that. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength, and you did that. You had the willingness, which is very important. It's key.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's key.
I think it is.
Yeah.
But for anybody who's who's wondering whether, who has, initial fears on this, it's so wonderful to get rid of it that just go for it, I'd say. Just do it, because the outcome is amazing.
Yeah. There's nothing to lose, everything to gain, and nothing to lose.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, thank you, Jim, for that. I know it's been a long time, and that's testament again that it wasn't something that was a 5-minute or a week's relief. It was something that has lasted for years.
Yes.
That's the truth of it.
Yes, that's the truth of it. And also for the past kind of 18 months or so, when I haven't been counselling or haven't been specifically helping other people with child abuse, for example, You know, it hadn't really been present with me until you asked me to do this. Do you see what I mean? Gone. Yeah.
Amazing. Just
wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful. And I love hearing it. I love hearing more about, you know, how you have benefited, how you have gained emotionally, mentally in your life, so you can move on, you can move forward, and be an example, as a testament to other people of what is possible, that there is healing, that there is a way out of something that has been painful and traumatic. And I think that's so important. It's so important that it's not theory. This is not theory. This is not a game.
No.
You know, this is talking about people with lives. It's important. It matters, and
real stuff.
Yeah.
That sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. Real stuff.
Yeah.
That has a definite benefit. You know, that's what I can say about it. You know, it works. It has a definite outcome.
Yeah.
Definite.
Yeah.
You know, which I found other therapies don't.
And that says a lot. And that does say a lot, considering your, you know, your vast experience. And it's not something you would say lightly. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So again, I thank you from my heart for you taking the time to share your story. My hope and wish is that for those who do hear it, and for those who might be in some emotional turmoil, who haven't found the answers for them yet, might find a glimmer of hope, some light of what's possible. So it's not just that it helps me, it's clearly helped you, and my wish and hope, as I said, that it can help other people. That's what this is really all about, that we can get the message out there and help those who need it, who might be lost.
Yes.
Show them that there is light, and it is possible for them to get healing and change.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you.
Well, thank you for asking me. Pleasure and a privilege. Thank you.
You're welcome.